Are you ready? Can Crush Us. It don't really get no better than this. The podcast that you're looking for if you're really heavy into wrestling. Hosted by the Mark. Energy that's so amazing. Gotta keep it entertaining. Rep the Can Crusher Nation. Yeah, you know what's going down in the ring. Lights out when you hit a ding ding. Knock 'em out like boom bada bing. Hold it down, you can crown me the king. Got a shout out to the Miz and Duke the Dumpster. We choke slamming everybody. Power driving, hit 'em with a face buster. Yeah, this the show you need and it ain't no need for waiting. Mark, hold it down for the Can Crusher Nation. All about wrestling and keep it entertaining. Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Time to break 'em, let's go. Yeah, Can Crushers. Yeah, Can Crushers. Let's go.
This is Foreman Red James, and you're listening to Mark, the piece of shit garbage man on Can Crushers.
Well now, welcome to Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. That's a lovely intro that the Foreman Red James gave me. I am Mark, your host of Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast, and this is a spotlight show. I hope this episode does not go that same way, and I hope that I can become friends with somebody a little chaotic, somebody a little unnerved, somebody a little bit unhinged maybe at times. I'm worried. A little sus, as the kids say out there. My guest this week is the Queen of Chaos, Aryn Eris. Guys, listen. You have to go follow her. Unbelievable indie star from the West Texas area. Rising, going to be doing tons of things, as you'll see here in the near future. She's gonna get a spot. She's gonna get a spot because she's that damn good. So make sure you go follow her now. Make sure you say, "Hey man, I remember her when she's on TV." You say, "Holy crap, I remember her from Can Crushers," because Mark talks to all the rising stars of the indies, and he knows. He's got a pulse of that thing. I'm gloating all of a sudden now. Listen to me. But make sure you follow the Queen of Chaos, Aryn Eris. She's unbelievable. Part of Chaos Inc. They are a little dastardly at times, but yeah, I'm ready to get into the interview. I'm so excited to have her on, and hopefully we can become friends. But if not, I hope she doesn't think I'm a piece of shit like Mr. Red James does. Guys, but you know what we have to do first? We have to pay the bills. That's just because we have to pay the bills. Collar and Elbow. You've heard me talk for years now how I love Collar and Elbow. Hats, hoodies, tees, all the cool stuff that Al Snow and his hooligans are making down at Collar and Elbow. Go and check it out. There's new shirts coming. You can still get some of the old shirts that they have out there. My favorite shirt, if you've listened, is the Macho Man shirt that's inspired, that has Al Snow and Head on the sunglasses. It's purple. It's unbelievable. Not only are the graphics are amazing, but the quality of the shirts are unbelievable. You know, I've had them for years. They don't rip, they don't tear. They just do stuff. They're comfortable to wear all the time. And with our promo code, Can Crushers, capital C and Can, capital C and Crushers. I did that backwards. You can save 10%. It's Can Crushers, capital C and Can, capital C and Crushers. You save 10%. Yeah, I'm not a broken record. I've had a couple tonight, so that's just the way it is. Don't forget, we also have a WWE affiliate code in the show notes. We're transparent. We very much are transparent on this podcast. Sometimes you get a discount, sometimes you don't, okay? But if you know you're looking for the new, maybe Mommy's Back shirt, or the Cena's retirement shirt, or the Randy and Kevin Owens shirt that's out there, you know that you want to buy one of those shirts, and you love listening to Can Crushers, click on that link down there because it does help us out, okay? It does help us out. It puts a few bucks in our pocket. Listen, podcasting is not cheap. I'm not going to lie. It's not. Don't forget, we have merch as well over at CrowdMade, so if you really love us and you want to rep our stuff, go over to crowdmade.com and type in Can Crushers, and you'll see our long tees, our t-shirts, our hoodies, regular sweats, and a tank out there right now. A couple different colors to pick from. They're unbelievably soft and awesome to wear as well. Even though it's July, we have the AC on. I love wearing hoodies in the house. Make sure you check out one of those hoodies. Where can you listen? Well, anywhere. Anywhere podcasts are, whatever your favorite device is to listen through. Make sure you like, subscribe, and do all that cool stuff on that. And if you want to give us a rating on those as well, that would be unbelievable. Thank you very much. Just the listening, though, to Can Crushers is unbelievable. Shout out to every city that listens, not just Toronto that came in at number 1 last year, but every city, because we love you. It means a lot. It really does. Join our discussions on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Join some of the randomness that goes on there. Make sure you send your questions in for Ask Can Crushers when we do that. Ask a question every week. We'll answer it on air on our weekly shows, because on Saturdays, we love talking pro wrestling from the week, but we love answering questions from you guys. Send them in at cancrusher69@gmail.com, or as I said, DM them to us. All right, guys. Aryn is on the line right now, so I'm going to do some technical stuff, and then she'll be here in a hot second.
Hey guys, this is Olivia Vegas, and I am the fashionista of fame from OKC, and you're listening to Can Crushers.
Welcome back, Can Crushers. You heard how excited yet skeptical I am about my guest, because she is the queen of chaos, and Can Crushers is full of chaos. We could be great friends, or she could beat my ass by the end of the show. I am a member of Chaos Inc., the queen of chaos from the great state of Texas, Aryn Eris. How are you, Aryn?
I am doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm well. I think we could get along. I really do, because we're cut from the same mold, but you might take it to the next extreme, right?
I mean, for the most part. It depends on the situation, but, I mean, you play with the fire, you get burned, right?
I agree. Great state of Texas is where you're from. Before we get into the whole story of how you loved wrestling and everything, I like giving you guys your shout out for your home promotion and all of that. So will you let everybody know that?
Yes, absolutely. So I am from Abilene, Texas, and my training facility, home promotion, dojo, that whole shebang is based out of Lubbock, Texas. I am from Rampage Wrestling under Eric Grayson.
There you go. It's that simple. So, Aryn, let's do a rewind, not too far, because you're still young into the business and still young overall. Who introduced you to professional wrestling? Mom, Dad, Uncle Joe, Aunt Sally? How'd you find this crazy sport when you were a princess and not a queen yet?
So it was my dad. My dad, from a very, very young age, toddler or younger, always had professional wrestling on every Monday night. And so naturally, it was on all the time. I started watching it all the time. And thanks to my dad now, I am a professional wrestler.
And you love it, because I say this all the time, too. Once you get wrestling in your veins, it's a sickness, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. It's addicting. I tell people all the time, I've tried sports, I've tried singing, I've tried all this other stuff, and at the end of the day, it just didn't fulfill me. Wrestling, I feel like, is the thing that I need in my life every single day. Sometimes it is the only thing that keeps me going. It is the best adrenaline and love in the world. I always tell people, when they ask me, why are you a wrestler? I'm it's my one true love. I can depend on it when I'm happy, when I'm sad. It's just my entire world. There's nothing like professional wrestling.
Agreed. It's a story within a story. It's bumps and bruises. It's headaches. It's drama. It is a complete soap opera in one with major athletics. So it's unbelievable.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about some of your favorites growing up. I think I might, when I do a comparison, I think I might have you pinpointed. You're going to hate me. You really are. But I think I know who were some of the people that you liked when you and Dad were sitting down watching wrestling.
So my holy grail, my favorite of all time, is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, Bret the Hitman Hart. He, I'm going to sound like such a mark, but he legitimately is my hero. I look to him for inspiration for ring work, for promos. He is, top tier for me. followed very closely by Trish Stratus. I love Trish. She was an absolute trailblazer. Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon. I love, if we, take a step forward in time, I love Brie and Nikki Bella, Eve Torres. There's a lot of people that have been inspirations for me. If we go super modern, Sasha and Bailey in their NXT days were super inspirational for me. But
Still one of the greatest matches ever in Brooklyn.
yes,
One of the greatest matches ever.
Yes, NXT Takeover Brooklyn, Sasha and Bailey is quite possibly, like, I always wanted to wrestle, but was quite possibly the moment that I was like, all right, we're putting pen to paper here. It's got to happen.
Nice. So you just gave away one of the questions. No, we'll get there.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Trust me, it's okay. Aryn, you'll realize that this is a train wreck. I don't know how I get the listeners from all over. And I'm not gloating. I don't know why they continue to listen, because it's a train wreck show after train wreck show. And people like train wrecks, I think.
I mean, for the most part, clusters, they attract audiences.
They do. They really do. The question that came up out of all of your favorites, and I'm going to stir the pot because that's what I do. So you love Bret Hart, but you also like Shawn Michaels. How?
Yeah.
And then who's responsible for the Montreal screw job?
Yeah. So I'm a Texas girl through and through, so I gotta show some love to HBK. HBK is one of my dad's favorites, so naturally he's one of mine. But Bret Hart is the GOAT. Like, he is my holy grail. I think character work, ring work, like, there's no one like the Hitman. As far as Montreal screw job goes, let's not point the fingers at Bret or Shawn. It was Vince McMahon's fault.
Yeah. Oh, I say there's 4 people to blame. I mean, they all had something to do with it, right? Between Bret not knowing anything, so he's kind of in the fog. Shawn knowing, Earl knew, and Vince did it. So all of them.
And I mean, exactly. Like, Bret was in his contract at the time where he was given pretty much creative control of his gimmick and his character. So Bret was told and said himself, I'm going over. And then I'm pretty sure Shawn knew, if I'm being honest, the outcome of that match before they walked to the ring. But at the end of the day, I love them both so much, so we're just going to blame Vince McMahon.
That sounds wonderful. I love it. And you know what? It's one of the greatest things to talk about as a wrestling fan.
Oh, absolutely.
So you brought up that you tried sports, you tried singing, talk about a little bit of your childhood, because it led you to professional wrestling. Once you saw it with Dad, and I'm remiss because I forgot to ask you, do you remember the first match that you saw?
So the first match that I really vividly remember, I believe it was Armageddon 2008. It was Edge, Jeff Hardy, and Triple H in the main event for the title. Jeff Hardy went over and had his big championship celebration the next night on Raw. So I really remember that. That is another favorite match of mine, just for sentiment reasons. But I mean, as a whole, like, if I can remember, like, beginning to end how the match went, that's probably the first one.
That's an unbelievable match for being your first one. So kudos to you. Yeah. All right, now back to the sports thing. Talk about how everything led you to wrestling, kind of like your story to get to wrestling.
Yeah, for sure. So from a very young age, my dad, he loves baseball and softball. So he had me in softball. I think I started when I was in kindergarten or first grade. I was in softball till 5th grade. And then I transitioned to volleyball from 6th grade to my freshman year of high school. And then I quit that because I switched to a school that was a charter school. So there was no electives. I dealt with bullying a lot of it based from loving wrestling and being very open about it. So I didn't do sports from the start of my sophomore year until I graduated high school. I always felt like growing up, I wasn't naturally athletic. Like, I genuinely felt like every other girl on the team I was a part of was a step ahead of me. I was always falling behind. Like, I felt like I didn't fit in rather it was softball or volleyball or whatever it was. I even tried basketball for a little while. It just, nothing clicked for me. So when I graduated high school, I ended up graduating a semester early. And my main focus was because, okay, I've got to give this wrestling thing a shot. Like, I'd rather say I at least tried and I failed than not try at all. And literally, my first time in training in the ring, I broke my wrist and had a 2.5 hairline fracture up my forearm. And I was like, oh my God, here it is again. I am just not athletic. I am not made for anything sports related. And then I remember, like, a couple days after I broke my wrist, I had this very vivid dream of having my first match. And I woke up, I was in tears, I was shaking, and I was like, as soon as I'm cleared, I'm going back. I got to give this another shot. I'll regret it if I don't. And ever since then, I mean, the rest is kind of history. I just kind of started and didn't stop.
Please, legit, the first time you were in the ring, you broke a bone.
Yep, I was in the ring.
What did you do, if you don't mind?
What sucks the most, dude, is it's not even a cool story. Like, I wish I had this cool story. Like, I went for a 450, I overshot, broke my wrist. No, it's nothing like that. I literally went for a headlock takeover, planted my hand on the mat, and the person I was working with landed on it, and it snapped my wrist clean in half.
Holy shit, though.
Yeah, like, I legitimately didn't believe it at first. And then I get to the ER and my forearm was fractured too. So it was just the whole shebang. But I think, like, every time someone asks me, like, I want to lie and be like, so it's a sick story, but it's not. It's really not.
Do you want to make up a story real quick and I'll cut all that out? I'm kidding. So
yeah.
You're off for a while, but when you go back to training and you're full of piss and vinegar, then lead us to that first real match. Did you get the butterflies? Did you get the worries that, listen, maybe I still am unathletic and I don't know? Like, what head process? Because these are the stories that I love that, like, wrestling fans, everybody knows about Randy Orton, about Jeff Hardy. I love doing these for the indie stars to tell their stories. They're like, oh my God, what she went through is tragedy, essentially. Did you feel any of that?
So my first match was a lot of emotions. So I actually debuted at my home promotion in our annual Rampage Rumble. So just a Rumble. But there was, like, a sense of calm, but at the same time, a sense of extreme worry. Like, it was such a 50-50 situation. Like, one moment I'd be fine and the next I wouldn't. I genuinely, like, the day of, felt pretty calm. Like, I really felt like, okay, I've got this. And I was with Chaos Inc. at the time. So I was like, the guys are going to be in there with me. They're going to help protect me. I really relied on them in those first few matches as, like, my support and my comfort element. And then I was sitting in Gorilla and I was like, holy shit. I was like, I'm about to go out there and do this. And all these memories flooded back from, like, me being bullied in middle and high school for loving wrestling. Oh, that's stupid. You want to be a professional wrestler? You'll never make it. All this stuff just started coming back to me. The injury, everything, all this fear just hit me. And so as I'm walking out the curtain, I'm literally just shaking, like, not in a healthy way. And then I looked out in the crowd, and the first person I looked at was my dad. And I just, like, me and my dad butt heads than anybody I know. Like, we are at each other's throats 90% of the time. But to see my dad just staring at me, like, with a twinkle in his eye, I could tell that he was proud of me. And in that moment, my dad was my sense of calm, because I was like, in my brain in that moment, I was like, I am here. The only person watching me is my dad. And so I think in that first match experience, it really, like, my dad was my biggest motivator.
That just gave me the chills. That really did, because I understand. I understand. I also do a ring announcing and commentating and everything besides just the podcast. There's times I've thrown up in Gorilla because I'd rather be behind a mic instead of in the ring announcing. So I just get all these fills and anxiety driven and everything. But once you hit that curtain, you're like, what was I so in my head about, right? And Dad did that for you.
Exactly.
Dad did that for
Yes.
you.
He did. I don't think I've ever told him that story either, because, like, we're always just so smug with each other. Like, what's up, Dad? What's up, Aryn? You know, just back and forth with each other. So when he listens to this for the first time, he's gonna get a little sentimental moment.
Aw. Well, I'm going to spin it now. What did Dad say once you said you're going to be a professional wrestler?
He definitely, just like everyone else, was like, okay, we'll see. We'll see. He's like, you're a fan. He's like, you love it. He's like, but we'll see if you actually do it. And then when I went and started at Rampage, and then right out the gate, I broke my wrist, he kind of just looked at me like,
Told ya.
okay. Yeah. He never, like, told me I couldn't do it. He just always kind of gave me that look and that comment of like, okay, we'll see. And so at first, I feel like, just like my mom, my grandparents, everyone, he was just very like, okay, it's a pipe dream. And then when I started doing it, he was like, oh shit, she's serious.
Now he's helping you create merch, isn't he? He's all about you, wearing your shirt out. It doesn't matter if you're the viciousest person in the world. He loves you, and he loves that you're doing this.
He does. Like, he tries not to admit it, but, like, his friends at work and his cousins and stuff like that, he'll always send them the flyers I'm on, or if there's a live stream of the show I'm on, or at his work, he'll hang posters up at the front door. Like, he he secretly loves it. He just won't admit it. I'm gonna get him to one of these days, though.
Shout out to Dad. If you are listening, Dad, you're doing a great thing. So, from somebody you'll probably never meet in this world, I love you for the support, hidden support that you're giving Aryn. All right, this is one of my favorite questions because I like to pat myself on the back every once in a while, Aryn. Who is the Queen of Chaos? Who is Aryn Eris? Now, I'm going to pause you because I have 3 wrestlers that as soon as I saw you and I watched a little bit of your clips, this is who I think. Number 1, because you're just as, and I mean these all in a good way, so take that as wrestling words. You're just as miserable, vicious, and bitchy as Queen Sherry Martel. You're perfect. So, unbelievable. You're a fighter, so like you will do some dastardly things every once in a while. So I have you as Ruby Soho, Ruby Riot, whatever one you want to call it. And then I definitely saw Trish. I definitely saw Trish in you because you use some of her moves, essentially, right? Shh. It's wrestling. You beg, borrow, and steal. Come on.
Right.
So how close am I? Who would you tell me 3 wrestlers that Aryn Eris is?
So, my 3?
Yeah, and don't say yourself times 100 because I hate that PC answer. I'm sure your trainers all told you you have to be yourself by 100. No kidding. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. So I would say when it came to my character, aside from my own ideas, 3 biggest inspirations: Trish, of course, some Lita in there, and then, oh gosh, I just had the 3rd one. This should be easy to remember. I would say a little bit of Nikki Bella.
Okay.
With like a mix of Maurice, because she doesn't get enough credit. I feel like Maurice doesn't get enough credit. She is the only female that I can think of in that era that stayed one gimmick her whole career. She was heel from start to finish, and I have to respect that because regardless of if she gets enough credit or not, she did it pretty damn well.
Shame on me. I would. I will still stick with Sherry. I would take Ruby out, and I do see more Maurice than you. Shame on me for. I have a picture of Maurice like right behind me in the studio. Shame on me. Yes, 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 yes on Maurice. So I'll take 1 for 3 out of my list. I will. But have you watched any Sherry? Have you been told to watch some Sherry? You should if you haven't. Just throwing that out there.
Yes, I have. And I respect her greatly. Extremely talented, ahead of her time. But when it came to me personally, I didn't feel like I could resonate with her as much as I could like the Trish or the Lita.
Right.
And that's no disrespect to her. It just didn't fit my mold.
No, I get it. I get it. All right, let's take a break from wrestling and learn a little bit about Aryn Eris when she's not wrestling, essentially. When you have a day off, there's no wrestling, there's no going to training, you're not doing tape study, because I'm going to cut that out real quick. What do you like to do nerd stuff? Are you a gamer? Do you like walking a dog? What do you like doing?
So I am a big writer. Like, I love to write. Like, when I am not able to use wrestling as my outlet, writing is my outlet. So that would have to be like my main stress reliever aside from wrestling. I really love scary movies. I'm a huge horror movie buff, so I love watching spooky shit in my free time.
What's your number one scary movie?
What would you say?
What's your number one scary movie then?
Oh gosh, that's a loaded
It
question.
is. You can give me a couple then. That no matter what, you have to watch them Halloween time all the time. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so my favorite slasher would have to be a very basic answer: the original Halloween. It boils down to cinematography and the storytelling. Love it, fantastic. Followed by probably the original Evil Dead. And then if we go for something a little more like psychological horror, I love the original Pet Sematary.
All three are on top of my list too. Those are amazing. Listen, I'm really going to make it explicit. Fuck with your mind shows, without a doubt. I completely agree. Those are great.
Absolutely.
What's on your playlist right now to keep you rocking and rolling all the time?
So I love rock, metal, grunge. That's my kills the past couple years. Absolutely love and adore them. I am fixing to go see them for the second time next month in Irving, so pretty stoked for that. I love Slipknot. I always have Slipknot on my playlist. If we want to go for some like dad rock, I love Def Leppard, Metallica. But yeah, I've really been blasting a lot of Ice Nine Kills and Slipknot for the most part these past few weeks.
Nice. All right, so that's a little bit about Aryn when she's not in the ring and doing some wrestling. But let's switch back over to the wrestling side now. How much wrestling do you get to watch now? And can you enjoy it as a fan, or do you always study as you're watching it?
So I try to watch as much wrestling as possible, but I naturally go through these phases where I just physically cannot like watch an entire wrestling show. Like I just like want to pull my hair out, and it has nothing to do with any of the talent on the show. They're wonderful, excellent performers. I just go through these phases where I feel like I'm so so invested in everything I'm doing personally that it's hard for me to be invested in like mainstream wrestling that's going on. So I go through highs and lows. It's like an everyday sort of a thing, or it's all right, I'll watch a match here and there. But I feel like I can always watch like some of my favorite older matches. I feel like I can always resort to that. Something I know, something I love, something that's comforting and inspiring. But as far as like modern day wrestling goes, it just depends what kind of mood I'm in. I'm either all in or I'm just not.
I think that's truly all wrestling fans. Like everybody, and I'm not saying like full like year break or anything like that, but there's times even, Aaron, I'm gonna be truthful with you. There's times even running a podcast that we talk wrestling. I'm like, holy moly! Just because of real life, I got 40 hours of wrestling to watch in like 2 days, so we can put on a weekly show. I can't. I can't. So I'll reach out to
Yeah.
the co-host and I'm like, "How much did you watch?" He's like, "Oh, I watched it all." I'm like, "Kudos, you're running the show then," because it's just and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. There is just so much wrestling, great wrestling from like IWTV title match to like everything that's out there for WWE. Da 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 da. You guys all know this. There's just so much that it's tough to encapsulate all of it at once.
It's very overwhelming.
That's
For
the
sure.
best word. Yes, overwhelming. Perfect. Who gave you the best advice behind the curtain? Was it one of your trainers, somebody that you worked a show with, and what was it?
Ooh, so there's been a couple people that have really been there for me, especially when it's tough. So if I go back to the very get-go of me starting wrestling, when I was asked to join Chaos Inc., it was founded by Alton Black, which we don't like that guy anymore, but I do have to give him some props where props are due. He really was kind of my calm in the storm in the beginning of my wrestling career. I used to call him my wrestle dad. But he always used to tell me, if you're not confident in what you are doing, if you're not confident in your character, within yourself, within your moveset, your promos, within anything, how is anyone ever going to believe in you? And that really stuck with me because that really helped me start kind of owning my character, owning my worth and my confidence. Because when I first started, like, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I don't feel like anybody does, but it seems like it just comes so naturally to some people, and it just didn't to me. Like, I could cut a promo pretty confidently, but when it came to being in the ring, it was just hard for me. And every time that I felt like I couldn't, stand out or have confidence within myself, I just remembered him telling me that. And even if I wasn't feeling great about myself that day, you just got to fake it till you make it sometimes. And so that was some of the best advice that he ever gave to me. And I think about that before every match. And then another big inspiration in helping hand for me is Olivia Vegas.
I love her, by the way. She's been on the
I
show, yeah.
I absolutely adore her. So my first match out of the state of Texas was against her and Evelyn Carter. And Evelyn is absolutely wonderful too. I love her. She has been such a great helping hand as well in my career. But me and Olivia have got to work together a lot more frequently. So we did get pretty close. And she always was giving me new ideas, or hey, what about this move, have you tried this? She was always reaching out. And it was not one thing in particular she said. I think it was just she was the first person for me that I felt like, especially female wise in the business, genuinely cared. And she really was just such a helping hand and really helping me grow. And I was so scared my first match out of Texas. And I remember I walked into the locker room with my hood up and I was like head down, just like trying not to let anyone see me, like a little emo kid. And she like came over, she introduced herself to me. She was like, what do you want to do? And that was one of the first times that a female opponent had asked me that. It was usually like, all right, so this is what I've got laid out. This is what I think we need to do. What are your ideas? I want your opinions. And that just really, like, I don't know, like, thinking about it, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal talking about it now, but like in that moment, just really trying to get out of my shell, her asking me for my ideas was just like, it was just such an encouragement. And I think about that all the time. And every time I see her, she's just so genuine, such a kind and caring person. And I just have the utmost respect in the world for her.
It's a comfort thing too, right? Like it was
Mm-hmm.
also like, hey, we're working together. We're not pulling fourth wall down. Everybody knows this anymore. We're working together. Let's make each other comfortable in the ring, because you didn't know her before then. It's just a nice way to do everything to get us fans, us marks, to, oh my God, these two have history. You know, the storyline within the storyline, as I said. So that's really
Right.
awesome of her. It really is.
She is. She is so professional. And I mean, what I love about her too is she tells it how it is. Like, I love critiques. I do, rather they, are harsh or not. It's the only way you're going to get better. And Olivia tells it like it is, but she always follows it with a compliment. Like, she's just such an amazing person.
And in your other advice, this is how I made it through college, essentially, is fake it till you make it. Because I didn't know what I was doing when I was in school. A lot of people don't. You just continue to do it, do it, do it. That's great advice in real life. You are
Oh,
going to
for
catch
sure.
on to something once you continue to fake it. You're like, oh, that's why I do that. If they don't know that you don't know what you're doing, you know what you're doing, and they think you know what you're doing.
Right.
So that's great. Those are awesome. They really are. Thank you for sharing your story there. That's
Of course.
yeah, that's wonderful. This is the toughest question I kind of asked though on the podcast. You know, from being bullied, essentially, and we could talk about that. But you know, from being bullied, wrestling has stigma around it. They have filthy people still in it, and you know what I mean by that. If you could change something in wrestling, what would you change?
Ooh, that's a
It's a loaded question. I will
that
completely
is
be
a loaded
honest. Yeah.
question. I mean, shoot. That's that's a loaded question. I think if I went modern, like with modern day wrestling, like with the era we are in now, I wish a lot of times we could go back to basics. I feel like so often now there's too many gimmick matches on a show. I mean, yeah, you need your one high spots match of the show sometimes. You do. You need that one hot spot match, but 50 super kicks, 5 450s,
Thank
all
you.
this all
Thank
this
you.
other crap, and every single match on every single one of your shows, it gets old. It does. And I mean, I can't do that stuff. I can't get up there and hit a moonsault and all this other crap. So much respect to the people that can, but know when to do it and when to use it and when to make it count.
Yeah. Stop giving it away for free.
Exactly. Like, it's one of my biggest pet peeves when 2 minutes into a 15-20 minute match, we see your finisher. Why?
Yep.
Why? In a sense, for me, that just kind of kills your finish, because you should have put your opponent away with that. But no, they hop right back up and y'all go right back into your heat or your shine or whatever you're doing. And it just kills the momentum for me. Like, 9 times out of 10, if I see that shit, will get up and walk away. You have lost my interest.
Listen, this guy will never come on the podcast because I shit on him all the time. He is one of the most uber athletic people in the world. I can't stand Ricochet. I don't need to see 75 somersaults, a backflip, and then you just drop an elbow. What the hell did that just do? To be an old crotchety man, like, I don't need that. Just drop the MF and elbow, right? It's just too much
No,
sometimes.
I absolutely agree. Like, again, props to people with these insane athletic abilities,
Right.
but do I need to see you do the same shit 100 times every night? I don't, and I don't want to. And if I don't, and you don't, majority of people probably don't either.
I agree. I agree. So we've been talking a lot of cool things about you, and you might have already given me this with breaking your arm the first time you were ever in a wrestling ring. Besides that, because we like throwing people under the bus every once in a while too here on Can Crushers, Aryn, what other embarrassing moment do you have?
Oh gosh. It's a good one. So one time in training before a show that Alundra Blaze was at, or Medusa now, and I didn't get to end up wrestling with her because earlier that day in training, I overshot on an arm drag and messed up my knee, and it was swollen up like a bowling ball. So that was pretty embarrassing because once again, when everyone asks, what's wrong? Why aren't you performing tonight? It's not like I have a cool story. Like, all of my injuries have happened from, like, the stupidest stuff. Well, except for one. I have one that kind of has a cool story. But, like, that was super embarrassing. On my debut out of state in Oklahoma with Olivia and Evelyn, getting into the ring, it was like he didn't step up to the ring. The entrance went straight across the ring, but there was a little bit of a step up, like 2-3 inches. I tripped right in front of one of the biggest crowds I'd been in front of in my life at the time. So that was very embarrassing. My dad loves to joke about that one. But
Are you a walking trip to the ER? And I mean that out of love. Are you a walking trip to the ER, Aryn?
I tell you, but at the end of the day, I am a bit of a klutz. I'm getting better.
All right, it's time for random questions. I kind of threw it all around because we had some a good talk. So here is your question from the past guest.
Hi, I'm Cece Young, and if you could be any superhero with any superpower, what would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh my goodness. I would probably be a shapeshifter so I could pretend to be my future stupid opponents and embarrass them before I have to wrestle them and already make them look like the laughing stock of our match.
Ooh. See, I love that everybody gets into these questions because never thought that. I thought maybe a teleportation thing. Because I'm simple, I really am. You know, a teleportation thing, a flying thing, a super punch that would be on. A shapeshifter really just brought it. You win. You win. That's wonderful. All right, so I have 3 random questions for you too, and the randomizer was not nice to you, just to be nice. What is an unusual skill or talent that you have that nobody knows about that you will share here on Can Crushers today?
Oh Lord. I mean, I guess it's not that cool, but I mean, it's cool to me. I'm ambidextrous, so I can play sports with my left or my right hand. I can write with my left or right hand. So it works to my advantage sometimes in my match. When, you know, that left side of my body gets a little tired, guess what? Right side of the body strong. So it's a little trick up my sleeve from time to time.
This is not shade. And how are you not good at sports if you're ambidextrous? I'm sorry.
I don't know. I don't know how I haven't had this conversation, like, with my parents, because, like, I just want to know, like, how did they do me? Because, like, my dad was, like, all-star baseball player, like, elementary, middle school, high school. Like, he was, like, the pure bread and butter baseball player.
The cock of the walk, the man.
Right, like, what the hell? Like, how did y'all do me?
Well, now all of a sudden I'm throwing shade at Dad. He's really going to come after me. If you could only eat one thing the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh my gosh.
I said they're stupid, but they tell a lot. So go ahead.
Right? Oh my goodness. One thing, I'm not going to stay skinny, I'll tell you that. It would be fettuccine Alfredo, okay? Like, like that's my holy grail. Like Olive Garden fettuccine alfredo. Like I'm a simple gal.
Listen, we eat pasta probably 4 of the 7 nights out of the week in this house because we love it. Fettuccine's up there as a recurring one every week or every 2 weeks at least. So yeah, I get it. I get it because
Yeah,
you can make it so different each time that it's just so great.
exactly.
I love it. I love it. Listen, this is one that runs in my family. By the way, we're sticking with food and fettuccine and everything. Have you ever had? And this is my grandmother's recipe: spaghetti with tuna fish in it, like in the sauce.
No, I don't eat meat. I'm a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for like 8.5 years. So
See, I
no,
don't do
no, I have
homework. I'm
not.
bad. But if and when you ever go back, throw some just canned tuna in your spaghetti sauce and mix it up with spaghetti. It's unbelievable. People look at me like I have 3 eyes and 18 arms. They're like, that sounds disgusting. I'm like, no, I don't. Grandma came over on a boat. It's unbelievable. So
I'll take your word for it.
yeah.
I'm about to disappoint you some more.
Oh
I
no.
never ate fish really hardly ever, if ever, before I went vegetarian. I can't stand the smell. So I am
Really?
sorry.
No, no,
Yeah.
you're not disappointing me. I understand because listen, when we go to like all you can eat, like seafood buffets, my son and wife were eating chicken tenders, and I'm over there eating everything else like the fat guy that I am. So I understand not liking seafood and fish and stuff. It's okay.
Yeah. It's not my jam.
If you last one, really, really. And this one's bad. Like I don't know why this one came up, but I write them down. If you could start a rumor about somebody, what would it be? I
Oh my gosh, that's a hard
It's a
question.
horrible question too, by the way. So if you're like, nah, I understand because it's not, I mean, you're the queen of chaos, but this might be over the line, right?
Well, shit, like even the people I love, I'm like thinking, I'm like, I can't say anything bad about them.
When you're sitting with dad and you're watching wrestling and everything, can you now kind of hover over yourself when you were the little princess of chaos and say, holy shit, I really did this?
Yeah, it's kind of surreal. It really is looking back because, like, I always feel like I'm very much like disappointed that I'm not where I want to be. But then I have these moments where I'm like, but look how far I've come. Like, 10-year-old me, if I told her I had done the things that I've done now, she'd be like, shut up. No, you haven't. So I feel like it is a very surreal experience. And being that I have such a like in-depth love for the business, especially from such a young age, and just always wondering, is it even worth trying? I think like if I could just go back and tell myself, yes, yes, it is, and it's gonna pay off no matter how hard it is, like I would, because I don't know, there's nothing more I love than professional wrestling. And I'm kind of getting off topic here, but
No, that's perfect. This
yeah.
is I added this question because I saw something on TikTok actually probably 2 hours before we started recording, and it was kind of like this question, but you said kind of the answer I was looking for. When you started, this is where you dreamt to be right now, right? There's more to come, but you didn't know if you were going to get to this point. So you've already exceeded, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm my own worst critic, so I try not to like give myself too much credit. But like, I feel like just from my mindset 5 years ago to my mindset now, like in some aspects, I've made it. Like, I believed in myself enough to try at something that I loved but scared the ever loving shit out of me, and I'm doing it. And like, I don't know, that's just like a like pat on the back feeling. Like it's just it's kind of overwhelming and emotional sometimes because I really sit with it like, damn, like I've done this much this far.
And you're doing it great, Aryn. You really are. So
Thank you.
you are amazing in and out of the ring. The promos that I've seen, you're a talker. You're snidely. You're perfect. What you need to do, you have it down. It's just, wrestling is. Well, I'll do something like Dad would understand if he's still listening and doesn't hate me anymore. It's like baseball. There's, double A, the single A, the majors. That's you're making your steps up. It's progression. Each and every time you get in a ring, go back to your first when you broke your arm. Well, you got your first match. You did this. You're doing everything right, and you have hella trainers and hella people and support behind you, and you're using it right. So, kudos, kid. Kudos.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, what is your greatest achievement thus far? It could be a match, it could be winning a title, it could be the first time you saw Dad there. What is your shining moment of your career right now that you're like, oh, I'm going to hang my hat on that no matter what?
So I have two that are really tied for first place for me. My first, even though it's not my favorite match I've had, like match wise, sentimental reasons, in a sense, it is. My first match out of Texas with Olivia and Evelyn, again at NCWO in Oklahoma. That was my first trip solo. That was my first trip without Chaos Inc., without really anybody I knew. It was literally like me and my family. We went, and I was petrified because at the time I thought, I need Jester and I need Alton and I need them here with me to be relevant. And I realized that night, even though it wasn't perfect, it didn't go 100% according to plan, I realized that night that I can do this on my own. So that's a big memory and a big step in my growth for me, and something I'll always be appreciative of. And back to Olivia, she had a big part in that, as well did Evelyn. They were both like two very genuine, helpful people. So that one is definitely for sure my top 3 moments of my career. And then if we fast forward to a few months ago, I had always wanted to do like a fun gimmick match that like pushed the barriers and pushed like my comfort zone. And I did an I Quit match with Jack Lovecraft, Rampage. And, that match, like, it was pretty much just like on the fly. Let's just do some crazy shit. I mean, I have never ever thus far in my career heard a crowd so behind us in our match. Like everybody from the start of that match to the end was on their feet. They were electric. Like we were in the ring, we were out of the ring, we were going around through the venue. Like we did some crazy shit. And I don't know, like the thing that scared me, the match that I was the most scared for, made me feel the most alive. Like, oh my God, I don't know, rather it was the crazy bumps we did, the crazy spots, the crowd, or all of it. But that, I get chill bumps talking about it. But that match is just like stands the test of time for me, because that was like a night where I just felt like so empowered, so confident. And like I said, we didn't have shit like really laid out, and it was quite possibly the best match I've had in my career.
You were smiling the whole time you were talking about that match, by the way. I felt it through the phone. I felt it through the computer. I felt it through everything editing wise. Listen, I'm not saying anything mean, but if you couldn't wrestle anymore after this podcast, that's what you're going to be talking about the rest of your life. I know it is, because that meant so much to you.
Oh, for sure. And like it was such a flex, like as dumb as this is gonna sound, when that match, like there were like 5-6 different versions of it put out on YouTube, and one of them got taken down for being too graphic. And I was like, hell yeah. Like, we
Yeah.
did that shit.
That's actually one of the ones that I've watched, and I was like, holy shit, this is one. I'm like, okay, this is why I need Aryn on. This is why,
Yeah.
because that crowd was, as Ricky Morton was, fucking hot. It was unbelievable what you guys were doing in the night. So if you guys haven't seen it, make sure you head over to YouTube, type it in. It's an unbelievable match, and just watch it. It is wrestling in its glory. It really is. What are your goals for the rest of 2024? Like, you want to hit some more states? Do you want to jump up to Canada? Do you want to come to Pennsylvania? Like, where do you want to do? What do you want to do?
I have a few goals. Some of them are through like the end of the year, and some of them are like 2-3 year goals. But I'd say if I focus on this year, it would be to work people with like 3 to 5 years more experience than me. Like, learn from people who have seen more, been more places than I have, and just like mouth shut, ears open. Like, still, have my ideas and my input, but really learn from someone who's been around and seen a whole lot more than me. I definitely want to travel to some different states. I'm making my Colorado debut later this year, so that's exciting. But really just learning from people with more experience, traveling to new places, working for new promotions, and really just I want to, start learning everyone's different flavors of ice cream, as my trainer says. It never hurts to learn someone else's vision and ideas on the business. And yeah, just explore, just continue to grow in all aspects.
Agreed. I would love, and you're like, I don't care what you think, Mark, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I would love to see you get a run with NWA. Between everybody pretty empowered, and we know Jazz is there. I think you, in my mind, I think you fit that NWA realm, and then continue to grow from there. Rome wasn't built in a day, right, Aryn? We know this.
Correct. And I have so much respect for the people over at NWA right now. I know they're getting more and more eyes on them as time goes on, but they still don't get enough credit. So many underrated, talented people over there. Like, they deserve all the shout outs.
Yeah, they do. This is one of my favorite questions. I have a lot of favorite questions, by the way. Dream match, but I put a caveat on it, okay? Who do you want in your dream match? Where do you want your dream match? And then what stipulations, since you're full of chaos, do you want in your dream match?
Oh, I would love to have either a traditional, like, old school wrestling bout or a submission bout with Deonna Purrazzo in my hometown of Abilene, Texas. Like, the odds of that ever happening, slim, but it's a never say never. So yeah, Deonna Purrazzo right now, she's top tier. I have loved her for years, like since she started in Ring of Honor. But gosh, she doesn't get enough credit. I know
She doesn't get any credit, and I hate to say that. She doesn't get any credit.
Right. I know she's got that AEW contract now, but push her, man. Push her. That's all I've got to say.
Completely agree, and I agree. I think it should be like an Iron Woman I Quit match. You can only win by I Quit, but it's like 30 minutes, 60 minutes. You have to quit a couple times in the match. I don't know. I'm making this match up in my head because what you just did in that triple threat match that we talked about, I think that needs to be encapsulated in your dream match somehow. So, yeah. All right, before I let you give your socials and more where you're going to be, I have to talk to you and tell you how jealous I am. On July 19th, you're going to be hanging out with Baby Doll, Missy Hyatt, and Medusa. What are you doing? That's awesome.
It's a secret. It's a secret. You've got to be there, watch it to see. But that's going to be an absolutely amazing night. We're doing a girls trip for that show. My mom, my sister, my grandma. I think it is the first in West Texas women's show. So it's going to be a huge trailblazing night. I cannot wait. I am absolutely ecstatic, and we're going to tear the house down and we're going to sell that bitch out. Like, I put my money on it now.
Yeah. Yeah. I am stoked to see any clips that comes out of that, anything. This is the Mark coming out of me. Do you mark out when you a little bit? Is that still, because listen, doing commentary, ring announcing, everything, every once in a while when we bring a legend in, I'm like, holy shit, it's Henry L. Godwin, or holy shit, it's this person. And I'm like, all right, you're in the business, Mark, act it. Do you get that at all? Like Medusa, Missy Hyatt, Baby Doll, will they get you wild up or anything like that?
I have met Medusa, and she is just such a gem. I have to be completely honest. The first time I met her, it was a very surreal experience. So I did mark out just a tid little bit, but I will be better this time. But yeah, she's such an inspiration and a trailblazer in the wrestling business. So she's wonderful. I do have to say, like, as much as the guys I wrestle with, they shit on me for loving the Bellas, I don't care. I love Nikki and Brie. And 2 weeks to the day before I debuted in the Rampage Rumble, I met them at WrestleMania Access the last time WrestleMania was in Dallas. And I mean, they were the most genuine, down-to-earth people, and I was literally terrified they were going to be, like, total assholes, because I had heard from people that they're such horrible people. They were not. So if you ever get the chance to meet them, do it. You will love them, and they make every dollar you spend worth your time. So once I was comfortable after a couple minutes of talking with him, yeah, I like marked out. I was like, I love this you did. I love that you did. Y'all inspired me. And having my first match in a couple weeks, y'all are two big inspirations. Like, they genuinely were like, oh my God, that was like one of my favorite moments in my life. Like, core memory for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so tell everybody else where you're going to be besides the July 19th show, and give everybody your socials and everything. This is your time. You can say whatever you want to, essentially.
Okay, cool. So I have July 19th and 20th coming up at SCP in Dallas. Gosh, I don't remember the exact date. Y'all forgive me. I will post them on Instagram and Facebook. But I have Rampage coming up in August. September, I have Rampage. I have SCP. I have Colorado. October, my October's completely full between Colorado, Oklahoma, Rampage. So I'll post all the dates for sure.
You are really good at your social media, by the way, because I call wrestlers out that aren't. You put everything up. You put, you'll sell tickets. You do your marketing and everything, which wrestlers need to do nowadays. You do a great job on social media.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And yes, I will have all of my dates for sure out. I keep a planner, you guys. Like, I have to physically write everything down or I will forget it, just like I did now because I don't have it in front of my face. But check me out on Facebook at Aryn Eris, on Instagram at Eris_Aryn. And then you can find my matches on YouTube, and I will be uploading some new content later this month.
And if anybody wants to reach out to you for merch or anything, will you do it through, DM or anything like that? Do you have a pro wrestling tees or anything like that as well?
I am in the process of getting a pro wrestling tee set up because I've been out of a lot of stuff lately. I also have some new merchandise items coming out again at the end of this month, so y'all stay tuned. But you currently can message me on Facebook, Instagram, or my email, which is eris.aryn@gmail.com. And I can get you an invoice sent over, and we can get you set up for a merchandise order.
There you go. Aryn, did I forget anything? Do you want to mention anything else, or did we become friends?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, and I don't become friends with very many people, you know, because heel shit, hello.
Right.
But you pass the friend test.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show tonight. This has been a blast.
Absolutely having me.
Hey, this is former WWE superstar Duke the Dumpster Drosy, and you are listening to the Can Crushers podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest, the Queen of Chaos, Aryn Eris, and I think we become friends. I was worried at the beginning of the show. I've seen some of the things she's done in the ring, some of the stuff she's done out of the ring. I'm like, man, we might not gel. But we're crazy enough that I think we've become friends, and this is awesome. Guys, we're going to fourth wall down here for a second. Dad, if you're still listening, thank you for showing wrestling to your daughter, because she is unbelievable in and out of the ring. She's got a great heart as well, and this is awesome. So thank you for showing her professional wrestling, and then essentially letting her get into the business, because she's so damn good. She's so damn good, and I was so ecstatic to have her on the show. All right, fourth wall back up, Dad. What the hell are you doing, man? Sometimes I just wonder. No, Aryn is unbelievable, guys. Make sure you give her a follow on all her socials, because it's really cool. It really is to watch somebody grow over the years, and Aryn continues to do that. The Chaos Inc. is going to continue to run amok, as we know, all over the place, and I have to gloat. I know on paper I only got Trish, but come on. I think I nailed it. I really do. If you go back and look at Queen Sherry Martel, I think I did a pretty good job. Her music, Slipknot and everything, it's wonderful. And walking train wreck. Oh man. Hopefully she takes care of that. You know, from tripping over things, breaking her arm right off the bat. This was fun. You heard the heart as she talked about couple of our past guests on the show, Vagos and Carter. It was unbelievable. So huge shout out to both of them for taking Aryn under the wing and showing how much chaotic she can be. Remember, guys, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do a great thing. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot. Make sure you tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know.